Well, Coach, 3-1, tough game last. We haven't had every game we've had has been a tough game this year.
Yeah, well, especially the two on the road for sure have, and but like that's what you want when you schedule these non-district games to be challenged and to kind of you want to test your kids and see where they are. And the other night was definitely a playoff atmosphere. Just the feel of the game, the excitement that Pitt had for their fans had for their team, and rightly so. They're 3-0 going into that thing and playing really well, and of course our fans traveled well, and we felt like we're pretty good too, and so it was what you'd expect from two really quality teams going at it. And fortunately it was we got to see our guys come through in some pressure moments, and that was really good to see. And I know we're going to talk more about that as we get into the conversation about people specifically, but overall that was an awesome thing to see our kids respond and handle the pressure the right way.
Coach, before we get into football very much, let's talk a little bit about Avery. I noticed he got his hair cut.
Yeah. And I know that he had some turkey, and Travis went and saw him over the weekend, and brought him a helmet that our kids signed, and some pillowcases and some other things. And again, like we've kind of talked about each week, our community just does such an awesome job of taking care of people, and so this Friday is the game. We're gonna honor him with September being Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. We're gonna take that time, that opportunity to honor him. And I know shirts have been made for him, and I know everyone's purchasing those, and the profits from that go to his family. And so anyway, it's going to be a really exciting, probably emotional game Friday night, and we're hoping that he's going to be able to be there, probably sitting somewhere on the track, so he can watch. But I know that he watches our games, and I texted him on Friday before the Pitt game and knew he would be watching, and so we're really excited that about the opportunity and the possibility of him being there in the stadium Friday night, and really just looking forward to everyone showing up and showing their support for Avery and his family. And so want to really just invite everybody to who may be inclined to stay home and listen to you and Bobby on the on Bulldogs TV to come out and watch that thing live and be there in support of his family.
Well, and I talked to his mother back when we did the cake auction, and we just need to let him know that if he wants to come up with Bobby and I, and he may get tired at down there or whatever, he's welcome to come up, and we might even put a headset on him.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes a lot of people would probably pay for that, right? To go spend 3 hours with you and Bobby,
or kill themselves.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on who you ask, but anyway, so that may or may not be appealing to him. He may just rather sit by himself on the track. But no, we're just really looking forward to being able. I know our kids, miss him, and his presence is felt in our locker room. We haven't touched his locker or anything, and that's something that we think about often. He is someone we think about often. So looking forward to honoring him Friday.
That gives you a little perspective about what kind of young man he is. Especially, and I don't know him that well. I mean, I know who he is just in passing, but I don't have a deep, vision of what he does every day and his typical life. I just hear T. Gray and Turkey and some of these guys talking about him, and but it kind of gives you an idea of what kind of guy he is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's awesome, and just the type of kid that if you had a son, you would hope that he would turn out like. And he's extremely respectful, hardworking, humble, and I can't say enough good things about him. So we're definitely pulling for him.
Good deal. Coach, let's talk about the game. 32-29 victory, and I mean, it was brass knuckles again. Every time we go to war with someone, it's literally war.
Yeah. It was a tough game going into it, and they had a good plan for us, both offensively and defensively. And those first two drives went about as well as we could have hoped. We held them to 3 and out, and then we go down and score. Really long, kind of meticulous drive, and then from then on is when the crazy stuff kind of started. And I think again, we had some they got some big plays on us, on our defense, which was just that's a good learning moment for those kids and for those guys. And we went in at halftime and made some adjustments defensively. And so they had, those 3 explosive plays, which they scored on in the first half. And we come out in the second half and gave up 1 explosive play, which they scored on.
You adjusted the defense.
Yeah, it's just made some adjustments. That's credit to Coach Morales, Coach Biles for really seeing some things in the secondary that needed to be kind of shored up and fixed and getting that fixed. And then they always talk about, whenever you're looking at things of trying to win that middle 8 minutes of the game. So it's like the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. And it was kind of even the last 4 minutes because we scored and they scored. But then that first 4 minutes, we come out, our first drive and go score, and then hold them to a 3 and out and go score again. And so for us to be able to do that and take the lead, I think that alleviated a lot of pressure and kind of gave us a lot of belief and confidence that we could beat these guys. And I think that's always good, and just really proud of the way our kids played. And then you get down to that fourth quarter where we were kind of hanging on to a 3-point lead, and time again our defense is asked to go out there and get a stop, and that's really tough. To do, mentally and physically and emotionally, and for those guys to stay locked in and be able to get that done was really encouraging to see. They get the ball there on that last drive on the 30, and they don't gain a yard. In fact, they lost a couple of yards. Yeah, and so they're forced to try a long field goal, which their kid is definitely capable of making those. We've seen him make those, and I'm not so sure he didn't make it Friday night, but anyway, it looked good to me, but I know it was wide left. But at the time, I thought he made it. I thought we were getting ready for overtime. So.
Bobby thought they made it too, and I said, no, I was watching the ball, and I said, no, he missed it. He missed it.
Yeah.
The only one he missed all night. And I mean, that dude, he could go from 35 yards out and just right down the middle.
Yeah.
Sometimes the pressure gets to you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's a tough kick for any high school kid. I mean, that's a good distance there. For a kid who's we're not in college or NFL where that's all those kids do. So that's a tough distance, and that's a tough situation, tough spot to be in for sure. But again, just proud of our kids that they were able to come away with that one. And I think this is a game that we're going to draw a lot of lessons from and a lot of confidence from moving forward now that we're going into district play and even in the playoffs, because we're going to play a game like that where it's tough and we're facing some adversity, and it seems like the crowd and maybe even the officials are against us, and just have to overcome that and find a way to get it done.
Well, that just kind of ticks you off and it makes you want to give more of that.
Yeah. There were some things. There were some frustrating things.
I saw you a couple times jumping up and down, and you're right in front of us, and everyone that saw the game is.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, there were 3 calls right there in front of you, and the line judges over here and. Nothing. I
think, and I know we don't want to spend a lot of time talking about officials. I think the stuff that just frustrates me the most is when it's calls or missed calls that impact the health or safety of our kids. If if they didn't see a holding, that frustrates me. But also, I do not understand. You could about call that every play. But when it's a late hit or it's something that could
take someone out of the game,
someone out of the game or in someone's season or even their career, and it's not called and it's pretty blatant, that's when I tend to get a little animated, because now you're messing with the safety and well-being of our kids. And so, but I do know those guys have a tough job, and I don't want to discount that. I don't want that job.
No, nor do I.
And I know we are in a situation in the state of Texas where we're facing an official shortage, and so we have to try to find a way to get those. For those guys to be better and grow and develop in what they're doing. But anyway, and that's one of those things too. There's a lot of that stuff we can't control, and I understand too that the kids are going to feed off me, and if I'm making a big deal about it, they will too. And so at some point we have to just accept that some of that stuff's out of our control.
They got to follow their leader.
Yeah. So anyway,
You got their back, they got yours.
that's right. That's right.
Offensively, did we have any weak points? What did you see offensively?
Yeah. So I think, starts with Chance, and he accounted for all 5 touchdowns, and for him to, I think he also each week he's looking more and more comfortable back there, and making progressions, and I think the thing too is he doesn't have a Cam Williams back there. Not to discredit anything Trey's doing, because Trey did an unbelievable
he
job.
fought like a dog.
Yeah, he did. But it's also his first year starting, so I think when sometimes it's easy to compare Chance to Myers from last year, but they're 2 different people and had different people around them, and just different situations. But Chance has 10 touchdowns and 2 interceptions at this point, and so he's rolling pretty good and really starting to come into his own from that standpoint. And so he's doing a really good job, and becoming a leader and embracing that role. But then it was also good to see guys like, of course, Travis and Turkey get involved and have a lot of touches. And a lot of times we go how those guys go. If they're getting involved and they're in the game plan, then we're going to have a good night offensively. And then going back to Trey, those yards he got they were some tough yards.
And he fought all night long. I mean, he found gaps that weren't there sometimes.
Yeah. And then we got to talk about Demetrius Carr, who came in actually to spell Trey at one point, and he's just kind of an igniter. He's a little guy, but he's a little spark plug, and hits the hole hard, and has great balance and vision, and caught a touchdown pass. And so we're really proud of him. And I think a big thing you saw us do well the other night too was we were at our best when we were going up tempo. And our goal is to go so fast that the defense has to call a timeout. And that happened last week versus DeKalb, and it happened this week versus Pitt. And so when we're able to do that, then we're rolling pretty good, because that helps our kids out, because you got the defense on their heels, and those windows are a little bit bigger, those holes are a little bit bigger to run through. And so that was one thing I thought we did a really good job of, was executing our tempo. And as far as things we'd like to improve on, the last 5 drives we didn't get any points out of, and I know if we score on one of those drives, we put the game out of reach. And so that's one thing, looking ahead at some things we got to grow in, is be able to put a game away and put a quality opponent like that out, and be able to close the door on them. And so that's one thing that we gotta get better at. But overall, offensively, I was happy with what we did.
Coach, they're a D1 Division 4 2A school, and they have been showing off against everyone they've played. One guy I want to talk a little bit about, and a lot of people don't key on this, but I just happen to. I usually pick one spot I want to look each week and see what's going on there. The gnome. Will Baldwin was up against a guy. Will's probably 5'6", 5'8", maybe at the most.
Yeah.
Weighs 180, 190, impacted into that little body.
Yeah.
He's going up against guys about 6'3" or 6'4", weighs probably, I'm going to guess, close to 300 pounds. I could be off, could take a few. He fought that guy like he wasn't even there. I mean, he got through a couple of times, but he grabbed a hold of that sucker. I mean, I just keyed on him a couple of times.
Yeah. Will has, since he's kind of been, inserted back in the lineup, has really just been a steadying force for our offense. Of course, he's super consistent with his snaps, and that's something that we will never forever again take for granted, after the Newton game, how important that is to get the play started and to be able to have the confidence that snap's going to be right there in the same spot every time. And he does that. And then, he fights his little tail off. And that's one thing you don't have to worry about him, is he's going to get in there and mix it up and give you everything he's got. So I was really proud of him, and, really proud of our whole offensive line. Kingston Nelson, Keelan Williams, CJ Walker,
they're
Adam
doing
Johnson.
their job.
They're doing a good job, and they're progressing and coming along too. And so, really, really excited for those guys.
And Coach, that's another reason why you have 4 good teams in the preseason to season them and see what
Yeah.
they can do and where their
Yeah.
inadequacies are.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Defensively, I mean, you've got 2 unbelievable linebackers, and they work in tandem with each other.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, the key of shutting down the running game. The whole D line is awesome.
Yeah.
But those 2 guys, if they get into the secondary, and sometimes they don't get past the line of scrimmage because one of those 2 is in the backfield with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we actually feel like linebacker is a really deep position for us because outside of Coben and Fisher, you also have Caden Parrish. You have Jason Burton, who's really come on the last few weeks. And, man, I think he's either tied our team lead in sacks or he may have it all by himself. I have to go check. But, that's a spot that's been really deep for us. And you have Zayden Ellis and Brian Jameson also in the mix there. And then now Adele being coming back and being healthy, he played some, a lot in the second half the other night. So he's back with us, and so it makes that whole position group really deep and really really talented. But you're right, yeah, that's a really good position group for us.
Both teams leave the game 3-1. Pittsburgh was undefeated until they played us, and like I said, they're a bigger school. But we've got the real season's coming up next week.
Yeah.
And we're going up against a 3-1 Gladewater team that has just been, last week they just destroyed. No, last week they played West Rust, didn't they?
Well, no, the Spring Hill Friday night, and they got after
40.
good.
Yeah, that won at 45 zip.
Yeah, and they lost at 1 point to West Rusk, who's playing really good football right now. They just beat Tatum, and so Gladewater is with Coach Lewis, they're greatly improved as well. Kind of similar to situation we're facing with Pitt from last week. You got a new coach coming in and some new juice and new energy and a new culture that they're trying to establish. And I think from the looks of it, the kids are buying in. And I know they're playing really well defensively right now. Gladewater is. They're just giving up an average of 11 points a game and forcing a lot of turnovers. And of course, offensively, they're sticking true to what they do.
Just
running the ball, and they do have some wrinkles in there, but their quarterback is super talented, and they have some talented backs, and so and a big offensive line. So yeah, it's going to be tough for us, and we understand. Again, the margin for error when you get in these games is much smaller, and you really gotta be able to take care of business and execute because from here on out, these games have district and playoff implications.
Coach, they run the ball a lot, and a lot of different plays they run. But with our defensive line and the D-line and the linebacker crew, it's going to be hard for them to run the ball like they have against a lot of these other teams they played.
Yeah, we hope so. We hope so. We hope that's the case. We'd like to make it hard on them. I'm sure they're going to look at the other night and see that Pittsburgh had some success taking some shots deep, and so that's one thing. And again, that was some younger guys who don't have a ton of experience back there who are still learning. And that was a credit to the kid from Pittsburgh, which you talked last week. He's a super talented thrower, and those receivers really good, but. Yeah, I think offenses are going to see that and maybe try to at least work that into some of their game plan. But, we're hoping to make it tough on them to run the ball because we know that's what they want to do. And so it's assignment football. It's they're running the veer, they're running power, and we're just going to have to do our job to stop it.
Coach, defensively, what are your concerns?
For us defensively, I think.
No, for them.
Oh, for them, yeah. They're really good. Their linebackers are talented. D-line's quick, and again, they create a lot of havoc with what they do. And so, I think that we're going to have to make some plays in the passing game, and just have to be really good up front to match what they do up front in order to create some running lanes and knock on wood, hoping we get Jacoby Morrow back this week. that would be a big time help for
Yeah.
us because he brings another element to the offense that we've been missing. And so, but yeah, they're well coached, they're physical, and so we're gonna have to do a really good job executing on offense.
Hopefully we'll have Jacoby and Dale Brown back in there as well.
Yeah, Dell will be back, and I think Jacoby's. It's looking good, like he'll be able to be back. So that's what we're hoping for.
Dangerfield loses the first game to them, 21-7. Then they beat New Diana 43-15. But I don't know. It seems like Diana's fallen off this year. I think all their seniors
Yeah,
are
yeah, and
graduated.
they have a new coach as well, a new system, and he came in super late, and so that's probably part of the reason. I think they're one of those teams that'll be a lot better later in the year, as they kind of come into their own. But yeah, and then they played West Rusk and lost by 1 point.
15-14.
Yeah, I believe it was a Thursday night game, if I'm not mistaken. And then, yeah, this past week where they won big over Spring Hill.
And I was thinking 45-zip. I've got it confused with another game. It was actually 56-7.
Yeah,
And that's a butt whooping right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Who are their the keys on the offense for them? They run the ball more than they throw the ball. They don't throw the ball very often.
No, quarterback is a really good kid, a really good player. Obviously, when you're going to run a veer offense, you want to have a kid who's a playmaker, and they have one in him, and he wants to run the ball. He'd rather not pitch it. He likes to keep it himself, which I don't blame him. And then all of their backs are really, really good. They rotate a lot of guys in there, and
any big backs?
yeah, they got some big kids, and so we're going to have to be really good tacklers, and everybody execute their assignment. So,
anything else we missed?
I don't think so. It's going to be a great game. We're looking forward to the opportunity and building off of this past week, and starting off district play. Looking to be 1-0 and just taking a step every week and taking a step and growing, and want to obviously make Avery proud with the way we play Friday night.
Let's remember to say our prayers for him and keep that thing going and get him back on the field next year. Coach, I think we're finished. We're done. We're through. Jay, we'll see you next week.